We're back. It's Capes, Cows, and Conversations. I'm Tim Neal here with Connor Ferguson and Cameron. And we're talking Jessica Jones season 2 on the road to Daredevil Born Again, which we are going to get done before Daredevil Born Again season 2 comes out. But Jessica Jones season 2.
Hopefully. Yeah. So Jessica Jones season 2 wasn't bad, but I am excited that I'm finally over it. And then because everything that Cam was telling me about season 2 for Luke Cage and Iron Fist, I so wanted to be done with Jessica Jones, but then there's still season 3.
There is still season 3 coming.
That's going to play out.
Well, I think we'll probably get to a little bit of how that plays out. I think the unfortunate thing is they weren't really building toward a Defenders season 2. And
Which
so
sucks.
these storylines all kind of just run individually, except for Luke Cage and Iron Fist, which we'll talk about much, much later.
Mm-hmm.
But Jessica Jones, it just kind of runs its own unbraided course. There's no tiebacks. There's no future to look forward to. But season 3, if I remember right, is not terrible.
It doesn't feel like Defenders just happened. I think this was film. This had to be filming around the same time, or like was in production during or before.
Yeah,
because there's barely any references, and then all of the cameos and stuff that would tie back to it feel like an afterthought.
Yeah, it is kind of funny that you mentioned that. When you watch The Punisher, we talked about it. You at least get the sense that the Defenders happened, because you have Karen Page there and she's talking about she doesn't want to lose anybody else, and you have a little bit of that sense. But you're right, when it comes to Jessica Jones, they act like she did nothing, had no tie to Defenders.
They acted like the Defenders didn't happen, and like the only reference, I guess, to Defenders or to any of the other characters is Hogarth just saying something that involves Rand or whatever, but then Jessica twice just completely name drops the Raft.
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say they also had Foggy for an episode.
They did have Foggy for an episode.
I was gonna say this, even in Punisher, it felt like an afterthought though. Like it felt like she was there, but there was like it felt like what she was intended to be there, and they filmed her scenes, and then after they had finished Defenders, they had her come back for it. Like that's because even then she doesn't reference Matt. She doesn't reference the events of the show. She's just kind of sad. And then it's just like, I can't lose you. And they're not very blatant about it. Same thing with Foggy here. He feels like he's just like, you could tell that he's trying to replace Matt because you've seen Defenders, but he doesn't outright say it. And it's not mentioned. And there's no reference to Matt being dead.
No. They feel, to me, a lot more like fan service drops this show. I didn't feel like Karen was a fan service drop in The Punisher.
No, she had a plot. Like
in The Punisher, she didn't feel like, hey, fan service, we are still crossing these over. But here, the Rand name drop feels like fan service. The Foggy feels like fan service.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Even in both shows, they don't tie back to Defenders. They don't absolutely reference Defenders. You're kind of just going, oh, okay, that makes sense that they would be acting like this because Defenders happened. But they don't outright mention it in either show.
I agree with what you're saying. I do, but I feel like less than Punisher. I feel like the way that Karen approached him with "I can't lose anybody else" felt a little more strong than just this Foggy showing up here. Turk showing up here.
Oh, well, Turk always shows up.
I know,
Turk
but I'm just
shows
saying
up on all the shows because he's basically like a weapons dealer or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm just saying those felt like way more fan service. Like, hey, we're still crossing over, even though Defenders is over. Yeah. Where I didn't feel that way when I watched Punisher and saw Karen. I feel that way completely with the crossovers for this show.
Yeah.
And then one of my biggest complaints, right, is when Hogarth is talking to Jessica about what is it, getting the guy that can heal, or getting the guy that made all
having him
come into to do more experiments. She doesn't like name drop. She's not like, oh, I'm going to try to get him into Rand and do that. She's like, I'm like, how are you going to do that? You're not a scientist. Are you going to go to Rand? Why do I have to imply that? Why aren't you saying that?
Remind me something real quick.
What?
Because I'm maybe mixing this up in my head.
Yes.
Does Danny heal Colleen in Iron Fist or in Defenders?
Iron Fist. It's
Heals
whenever
her.
she
Yeah.
gets poisoned by one
So
of the swords.
So there's no reason that Jessica Jones would know that Danny could heal someone.
No.
Okay,
They
okay.
don't-
I
they
don't think.
out-
I don't think it was brought up in Defenders.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a second, is that a plot hole that they could have just called Danny and said, hey, because Jerry wouldn't necessarily know it either, even though she features in Rand.
Well, we also don't know if it would cure ALS. I just
That's a fair point.
So,
But it would be,
yeah,
but it would at
true.
least be worth trying.
but
Yeah, it
here's
would.
here's the weird part to me, right? Because the experiments are illegal, but only because it's not documented at all or even done in a hospital. I think they didn't do it.
No,
legal.
that's not why they're not. That's not why they're illegal.
What do you mean?
It's illegal in the United States to do experimental medicine on humans.
Yeah, I'm saying.
I mean, it's not just because it's not documented. You
Well,
could document it; it still would be
it's
illegal.
still illegal to
Yeah.
undocument your work,
But they're
that's-
supposed to. Oh, what's the thing?
But I wasn't. Well, I mean, my point is that they could have gone to Rand and had him do it legally, and they didn't. That it's not even brought up as an option. The other part is like
Had him do what legally?
do the not human experimentation, but the genetics that he.
That's
could've-
the whole point. They were
He doesn't
doing
need a
human. They were doing human testing. There's no legal human testing.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't have. They can take genetics without doing it on humans.
But they weren't. So they wouldn't go to Rand because they weren't doing that.
Well, then who is she going to go to? Because that is absolute nonsense.
Who's who gonna go to?
Hogarth, her whole plan to have.
She was gonna do the same thing Trish did.
Not on
Probably.
herself.
Yes, on herself.
No, she was trying to get it for other people, is what she told Jessica.
What?
Yeah, do you not remember that? She was like, "Oh, we need to be doing this more. He can save lives. We need to be doing this for more people." It wasn't just her.
It was just her. She was just using that as a justification to
Okay,
get Jessica to
whatever.
participate.
Not the point. My
Yes,
point
it is exactly the point.
That's not my point. I'm saying they could have done things to add references to stuff. They chose not to.
Yeah, but
That's my point.
Her whole point was you can do this. You can do this, Jessica. If we do it right, we can do it legal, blah, blah. He can help more people. But that's not what she was after. She was just trying to
but I'm
justify.
saying it would have been better for her to justify it to her if she had brought up Rand. Like it would have because they may not be the best of friends, but it would have made sense.
I guess.
But that's not my I'm just saying they did a really poor job in this season of doing the connective universe thing.
No,
But
yeah,
this season
they
sucks.
really
Like
didn't.
I actually do hate the addiction storyline in this season.
The addiction storyline for
All the characters.
all the characters.
All 4 characters are supposed to be going through like a form of addiction.
Wait, what 4 characters?
Jessica Jones, Malcolm, Trish, and Hogarth.
Okay, what is Jessica Jones' addiction that
Alcohol.
she's struggling with?
Alcoholism.
But that's not a struggle for her.
That is a struggle for her.
Not at all.
They-
She doesn't
they-
care.
That's not the point. That's
No,
still
like Trish's addiction is a big deal. Trish's addiction is
all their addiction.
Malcolm's addiction
okay.
and Malcolm's trading of addictions and what appears to be his lack of understanding of his addiction is a big deal. I'm not sure that Jessica knows what she's doing. Like she knows I'm drinking my pain away. It's a little bit different than Trish,
That
who
doesn't
supposedly
make it better.
it's different than Trish, who's supposedly clean and continually lies about it the entire season.
Yeah.
And Malcolm, who doesn't understand that all he did was trade one addiction for another. I don't know what Hogarth's.
Hogarth was trying to use people to keep herself alive. She basically
yeah.
she has the issue where she's dying and she's trying to use her power to keep herself alive by using people and manipulating people into doing things for her. But then she falls into the trap that the people are manipulating her in return. because she becomes so needy and desperate on like cures.
I mean,
drugs.
I guess you could say she's addicted to her power.
But-
That's a fair statement.
But that's my point. Each character's kind of going through that. I feel like Jessica's is people. Like she's constantly helping people, but saying she doesn't care about them. Like that's brought up a lot in the show. But she doesn't really have a moment of just absolute self-reflection until the end, until she decides that she's been closing people out. But that's always kind of been her problem either way. I don't know. In season 1, her issue is the same thing. Like she shuts people out. She's having trouble letting people in, and then she finally lets Malcolm and Trish in. So she fixes that problem. But then this season, she goes through the same problem of pushing those two characters away to the point that they actually leave. But then she has Oscar and Vito. So they treat it like, oh, well, she's got people now, but she had people before. She neglected them intentionally. And then she treats Malcolm like
to
crap.
be fair, they also were trying to do stuff behind her back throughout the entire season.
The
Well, at
entire
least once it got
season.
through the halfway point.
Trish was. Malcolm wasn't. Malcolm got
But
roped
Malcolm
into
got
Trish's
involved.
stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, but Malcolm slept with Trish. That was behind her back.
Yeah.
That was something he was hiding from her.
What does that have to do with anything? That was Trish's problem more than Malcolm's.
No, that was Malcolm's entire traded addiction.
Yes, was sex, but that was what she told Trish. She told Trish not to use him, and she did.
True.
Yeah, that was not Malcolm's problem. That was Trish's problem.
It
I will
really
say-
was both, because Jess didn't realize that was Malcolm's traded addiction until she broke into his apartment to try to find him in the first place.
Right, but when
Then she
Malcolm
got in his computer and saw all the women he was sleeping with, and then she was like, "Oh, he traded one
when
addiction for
Malcolm
another."
got
Yeah.
with Trish, he was trying to act serious about it, though. That was him trying to do a relationship. He didn't realize that Trish was using him to get superpowers. And
I was going to
drugs.
say all of Trish's, I guess, plot line basically of her wanting, like being jealous of Jessica for having powers, and she's wanting powers of her own so she can help. She got so, I guess, basically addicted to it that the more that she kept complaining and whining about it, the more annoying it became as the episode progressed more.
I also
Along with her getting to the point of, what's the doctor's name?
I don't even Carl.
Carl, yeah. Where it led to the start of the experimentation that it did look like it was going to kill her, because I don't think he knew what he was doing at that point, because it's been so many years since the last time he did that experiment on anyone. And he also didn't have the, the proper materials.
Well, he did say he had a fix for it. Jessica stopped him before he could do that.
and never let the thing finish, which happens in something else in Marvel too. It seems like someone's getting worked on, and the plug gets
Vision?
pulled. It's
Vision.
Vision.
It's
The plug gets pulled.
whenever the
The doctor's forming his body.
Cap pulls.
I thought you were referencing whenever the Mind Stone was being
I was
surgically removed from his head.
No, I'm talking
no.
about when he's in the case
Oh,
in Age of
okay.
Ultron,
Oh yeah. Well, I was,
and
what I was
they
gonna say.
pull the plug, but
Cap-
then Thor sends lightning into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cap and someone else pulls the plug, and then Thor
Quicksilver.
comes down. Was it Quicksilver?
Yeah, he ran
Oh
around with
yeah,
the
he runs
plug
in
with
and
all of
plug.
the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Thor comes down.
Yeah. So that happens, but the funny thing to me, the commentary that's missing on that to me is how did Trish not understand the power that she actually had? Like the entire season, she is constantly talking about, I would help so many people. I would do this. Dude, you're one of the most popular people in New York City.
I was
With
about
the-
to say,
a talk show.
her doing a talk show almost gives her the same amount of power that Karen has for working at a newspaper place.
Absolutely. And she completely underappreciated the power that she had.
Yeah.
Well,
which sometimes the media is far more power than the superpowered person could even hope to have. How many
Yeah.
times has J. Jonah Jameson done
Fair enough.
crazy stuff to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, I mean, he's the powered person, but the power of the media is really strong.
Yeah.
And so she completely unappreciates the position that she has or the opportunity that she has to help people because it's not a superpower. And that's stupid.
I mean, it technically could be viewed as one.
It could be.
I will say it just got this show also has just a problem with its villains being too close to Jessica for way too long. I got bored of the mom being in like a 7 or 8 episodes back to back to back.
Well, I thought it was an interesting twist in the first place
Oh,
that
I
it turned
did
out
too.
to be her mom.
Did you forget that was a twist or?
Yeah, I totally forgot.
I
I
didn't
watched.
think it was going to be her mom at all.
I actually made it through all 3 seasons of Jessica Jones. I did not make it through. I didn't watch Punisher season 2. I didn't watch Daredevil season 3 all the way through. I didn't enjoy Luke Cage the final season.
What?
And we know why, and we'll talk about it. But I did make it through Jessica Jones season 3, and I forgot about that being the twist of season 2. So when it happened, I was like, oh yeah, now I remember. And I actually didn't hate it. There are things I don't like about the show, but that's not one of them. The mom part to me was a great twist.
Her mom was fine. The twist is fine. I'm saying they dragged out her presence in the show again. Like with Kilgrave.
I was going to say they did the same thing with Kilgrave when they finally introduced him, and then he was there the rest of the season.
Well, okay, sure, but the only place where I felt like it dragged was from episode 12 to episode 13.
Yes.
Fair enough.
That I think they could have ended her arc at episode 12
Yeah.
and used episode 13 to set up season 3. And the only thing they did to set up season 3 in episode 13 was the last little bit where
like 5 minutes.
Yeah, last 3 minutes where
Trisha's powers, Malcolm's with Hogarth, and Jess is with the kid and Oscar.
yes.
Yep.
That's it.
That's all they did to really set up the next season. And
Which,
they
as far as I can tell, Trish's, I guess, abilities now just seem like quick reflexes.
Yeah, you'll get there. Malcolm.
the point is not for you to know what her powers are. The point was for you to know that she got them.
Yeah.
She got her
Okay.
wish.
Yeah.
Malcolm probably the best ending. Honestly, I'm glad that he got over. They imply he got over his addictions and moved on. I'm glad he took the advice from Jess. I just hate that he didn't defend himself at all because she has the same problem he does, where they take on so much stuff because they don't want to deal with their own issues.
Yeah, that's fair.
Nobody calls Jess out, and she gets away with a lot. Like alcoholism is a big thing for her. Her mom tries to call her out at least twice. Nobody else really calls her out on it. And then the second she punches something or gets upset, they immediately shut down and just let her be herself. Like that's kind of crazy to me that everyone that Jess can go around and be like, Trish, you have a drug problem. Malcolm, you have a sex problem and a drug problem and a helping people problem. Mom, you're a psychopath. Hogarth, you're dying. Like I hate that she can go and do that, but anytime someone goes to do it to her, she's just like, whatever. But like she knows she has a problem too, but she doesn't do anything to fix it up until like maybe the last 5 minutes. And then I know for a fact she doesn't.
So I think you make an interesting point that I don't know if you realize you're making.
What?
And that is the way that not only television and media treats alcohol, but the way that people in general treat alcohol as, okay, it's not as bad as a sex addiction, or it's not as bad as a drug addiction, or it's not as bad as these other things. It's alcohol. Everybody drinks. And really, alcohol is it's a pretty strong cause of things like car accidents and family abuse and things like that. Did not see this episode going this way, but the fact that you brought that up, it just shows you kind of how flippantly society has taken alcohol and alcohol addiction compared to other possible possible addictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It basically did the same thing that the Punisher did, where it used basically real world scenarios with different people.
For sure. But when you think about it, like if I told you, if you found out I was addicted to heroin, you would look down at me like, oh my gosh, that's a terrible addiction. But the fact that I have alcohol in my refrigerator does not bother you at all.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, people treat it
slightly
differently. And obviously I'm not an alcoholic. You guys know me, but people treat that alcohol addiction differently than they necessarily treat like cocaine or heroin or even Adderall. You know, still people would rather look at you and go, oh, you drink a lot, than they would be like, oh, you're on Ritalin all the time.
Yeah.
It's just treated differently and more flippantly and more accepted. And so I think you do make a good point there that everybody else is getting looked down on for you're doing this, even though Trisha's drug wasn't it was a drug sort of, but really it was
but she didn't even know it was
steroid.
A different,
it was like an enhancer.
It was basically a different version of the combat enhancer that Simpson was originally taking. It wasn't a pill.
Pills,
they changed it to an inhaler.
It's like Captain America, except you don't get to keep the powers.
Yeah.
I
mean,
it was basically like what would be.
So could you blame her? Like, could you really blame her for continuing to use that inhaler because you're Captain America for 30 minutes at a time?
Are they?
I feel like Trish would be the person
Sorry,
that she would just find like ex-Hydra employers and be like, "Hey, do y'all still make Super Soldier Serum?"
For sure.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was still canon. But
well, yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, are they trying to imply that last season when she met Simpson that she started to get back into her addictive habits? Or was it the IGH investigation that led to her?
I think it was the first time she took that inhaler to see what it was like, and she got such a high from it. And I say that because when she gave
she did it in season 1, didn't she? Didn't she inject herself with
she took a couple of Simpson's pills.
She took a couple of his pills.
That's what I was saying.
But then she was out. I mean, she didn't have any more. But she took that first hit from that inhaler and she was like, oh. And the same thing happened when she gave it to Malcolm. And man, that was just a moment where an addict and another addict, they know they both have problems. And she was as thoughtless a person as she could be to give him that same thing that she was addicted to. And it just showed you she didn't recognize her addiction.
And that's why I like Malcolm better
out
in that scenario, because Malcolm immediately knew after he took the hit off the inhaler that it was a bad decision. And that's why he just went and tried to basically run it off.
I do like that he doesn't, he doesn't. I like that he doesn't necessarily fully blame her. He accepts his part in it because he did
take the hit.
He took the hit. Like he didn't have to. He could have said no and just walked away. I like that he does take his part in the blame of that instead of just going, this is your fault. And he doesn't let her blame herself either. I mean, she should, but he doesn't do that either. He's like, no, I shouldn't have taken it. It was my fault. And moves on. I kind of like that. I like that there was nuance to that scenario.
The redeeming quality of Malcolm is he does seem to recognize when he makes a mistake. Mm-hmm. And like you said, when he took that hit, it was immediate. I just made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not clean anymore. I've got to start over from day one. He knew it. Where Trish, who's I think 11 years sober at this point, is what they say.
Yeah.
And she takes the hit and she doesn't recognize I'm getting addicted to this thing, but she's like an adrenaline junkie with an adrenaline inhaler.
Again, I think what it is whenever she uses the inhaler, I want to say it basically like goes into like the back of her head where she has the thoughts of being jealous that Jessica has actual superpowers, and she's like, okay, now I'm basically equals and I can help her, but Jessica basically refuses to help.
Well, and I think part of the way that she justifies it, and you guys can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but they show the flashbacks, so you get to see her so addicted, like she's going down on the guy in the bathroom and she's basically flushing her life down the toilet with real drugs. And so I think the way she kind of justifies the inhaler is this isn't hurting my body. It's actually making me like a superhero for a short time. That's not bad. Like,
well, then we find out whenever she takes the inhaler to the hospital or whatever, the doctors there find traces of like leftover substances or whatever that is toxic to humans that could potentially kill them.
yeah, but I'm saying she justified it by saying, unlike heroin that leaves you strung out or whatever.
Oh yeah.
She doesn't feel strung out. She's like, I'm getting powers and I'm helping people. That can't be bad for me. You know, so that's how she's justifying it in her head versus the past. And so she's kind of pushing away that I'm addicted because the past, she was like, it tore her up.
Yeah.
But this isn't tearing her up. This is actually making her a powered person.
That's crazy though. I don't know why she would make that justification as she literally is vomiting. Like she's
Afterward.
Once it
Afterward.
fully gets
No,
out of
no.
her system, that's when like
Not
her
even
body
fully.
basically tries to reject it at that point.
not even fully out of her system. It is like whenever the high goes down, she immediately looks like crap. She starts to fall over. She starts puking. She like that happened at the golf club.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was actually funny.
You know, it hits her immediately the second the high goes down. It is not something. So I'm like, that's crazy that would be her justification. But I could see it being her justification, but it's insane because it is actually actively doing damage to her body. She feels it. She knows it. That's why she goes to do it again, is so she doesn't feel that way.
Right. No, you're right. It's kind of like a true story. Like if you have a massive hangover and I mean, you've been really drunk the night before.
Yeah.
The easiest way to ease your symptoms is to drink a little bit more. I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah.
So it is kind of in that way. It was easier for her to take a hit and probably doing more damage to do back-to-back hits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I also don't like the other thing, like for Jessica specifically, is the AA meeting, or not even AA meeting. It was an anger management meeting. She goes into court. She gets anger management. They handle it for one scene, and then she just never goes back.
Well, she scared them.
I know that. I know
Oh,
she's scared
fair
them,
enough.
But also, I was like, that's not even the right place she's supposed to be, because she had been drinking at that point. So they would have done AA, required AA, and probably therapy if she didn't go. Not anger management.
Remind me why.
Also, she was.
Well, you also got to realize that
Hold-
anger is also tied to her.
she also
lashing
was
out.
on probation.
No, remind me why she got sent there. It was she
beat up Chang.
That's right.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but nobody came and said the beating up was alcohol related, and they didn't drug test her.
Did they arrest her?
Yeah.
They should have drug tested her, or they not even a drug test. They just would have had to do a.
But they may not have,
That's stupid. She was.
because she wasn't arrested at the scene when it. Oh wait, she was.
Yes, she was
in his office.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
remember her getting
That's what
arrested in
I'm
his
saying.
office.
Yeah,
This
the
show-
people called the cops while
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
his office, his associates called the cops
Yeah.
while she was like throwing him
That's-
through that
This-
glass
this is
door.
what I'm-
You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
this is why I'm saying it's so weird how they treat her alcoholism, because they don't do anything to fix it. They just treat it like it's a quirk. And I don't think that that's really that.
Well, she does say that
appropriate.
her drinking makes her work easier.
That's not better.
Well, again, it just goes to show how it really does just kind of go to show how alcohol is treated societally.
Yeah.
It's just more accepted. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong.
Maybe it's just more accepted in New York. We don't know.
It's pretty well more accepted everywhere. I can tell you.
Yeah. I don't.
It just doesn't seem as bad.
I guess.
As
other
To me,
addictions.
I would have preferred some kind of character growth. It just doesn't feel like her character grows. Like it feels like she.
Really?
Yeah. Well, hold on, because we went through the same thing where she's like, I have to learn. She learns kind of the not or what's the word I'm looking for? the hero word, the H word, which is something said in the first season. And then, in Defenders, I feel like they ended off with her kind of accepting that she's kind of a hero. And then in this season, she's fully regressed. Her mom has to be like, hero's not a bad word, right? And like that's in the final 2 episodes. And she's starting to learn that again, I guess. And then Trish kills her mom, and suddenly she regresses again. I'm just
that would be though. All the people that she teamed up with, it comes back to all that, which by the way we haven't talked about at all. It comes back to the David Tennant scenes.
Oh, yeah,
where the Purple Man comes back and her, she's having visions of him, even though he's not really there. Yeah. And he's like, everyone you team up with betrays you. Trish betrayed you. Malcolm betrayed you. Well, the Defenders didn't necessarily betray her, but they're all gone. Mike Coulter went back to Harlem. The Daredevil is considered dead. Iron Fist is back to whatever he's doing, and she's alone again.
Yeah, I also just don't like that, in my opinion, because they ended Defender. And this is what I feel like shows this was at least writing or filming before Defenders, because she ends off Defenders in a good place with Luke, where Luke's like, call me if you need anything. She never calls Luke.
Where it looks like we could be a thing, baby.
Whatever. Iron Fist, he takes on, being the protector of New York. Never does he show up or get referenced in this entire show.
Well, what would you want him to do in this show exactly?
I mean, if there's a manhunt for a serial killer, I feel like he would be on that, right? Like a superpowered serial killer.
Yeah, I was going to say a superpowered person, then yeah.
Like, what's he doing, man?
I really feel like he should have caught wind of this.
Iron Fist,
at least by halfway through the season.
Iron Fist.
We have to see where he is in the second season of Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Because remember, these things aren't happening sequentially.
Oh no,
they're happening over the top of each other.
I know what Danny's doing at the beginning of Iron Fist. He's fighting crime in New York. They start with, well, I'm not trying to spoil it, but
yeah, but remember, these things aren't happening sequentially. He didn't end Defenders here and sit on his hands through Jessica Jones, through Luke Cage, through Daredevil.
These shows are happening sequential. These are happening months apart from each other.
But he's not sitting on, okay. But they don't sit on their hands. We've had this conversation before. They're doing things.
We just don't know what.
We don't know what they're doing. They don't show what they're doing. Yeah. It's not like you see a news broadcast, the Iron Fist did blah, blah, blah in New York, but he's not sitting at Colleen's dojo waiting for something to happen. He's doing something. It's just got to be assumed that he's busy.
Yeah, they just never tell you what it is. I know that for a fact.
No, they don't tell you, but that's what I'm saying. It's the way that they make these seem sequential makes it seem like this happens and then Luke Cage happens and then Iron Fist happens. And they do, but they should have done a better job implying that there's something going on with Iron Fist between these. They shouldn't make you feel like he sat on his hands. He's just like, okay, well, it's not my show, so I'm not doing anything now.
The more I think about it, I kind of want to say he's like not only defending New York, but clearly not really doing that great at it. But also probably focused on finding
Kunlun.
Yeah, Kunlun, after what happened at the end of Defenders. And since you already know how
I'm
Iron
sorry.
Fist season
you're
two
gonna have to let that one go.
Okay.
That Defenders wrapped up Kunlun and the hand. You're just never.
Oh.
And it shouldn't have, but it did. But it's not over.
It's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have if they had gotten the green light for Defenders season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to the whole what was it? You were talking about Kilgrave being like the back of Jessica's head or whatever.
Yeah. I was so glad to have him back in the show.
Trish shot her mother in the head. I felt like that would have been a great moment right there for him to pop up and then Jessica actually going through with it and murdering Trish right then and there.
But here's the thing. By that time that happened, she had already conquered that internally.
Oh, true.
She had conquered that internally. And you get that when she says, no, I'm actually stronger than you ever were. because I was able to control myself and not act on my impulses and have you telling me to kill people right here in front of my face, and I didn't do it. And so by that point, he's gone, and he's kind of gone for good because she conquered that. But you would be right. Like, if she hadn't overcome that, that would have been the place he should have popped back up and just been like, kill her.
Yeah.
She just killed your mom. Kill her. It's cold blood.
I feel like the hallucination thing probably should have started
Sooner.
earlier in the yeah, I would have preferred it for more than just one episode, and probably
It was
spaced
2.
out. It was 1.
I thought it was 2.
It was
It
2.
was 1 episode. It was episode 12. It was only or episode 11, I think.
It happened
only,
across 2
It
episodes.
was 1 episode.
2.
It really wasn't. I'm telling you, it was 1 episode.
Don't make me pull this up on the screen.
I'm serious.
We
Everybody.
just
No,
watched it
yes,
yesterday.
we
It
did.
had to have been 2 episodes.
It was 1 episode.
Oh, great. Okay.
It was 1 episode. It was the episode with I think Trish. God,
I know. I said Trish too.
Trish. It was the episode with Trish in the hospital.
Yeah.
No, it was the episode with Malcolm and Jess.
Finding where
trying to
Trish and
where
Carl
Trish
went.
Yes, it was before that she ended up in the hospital. It was 1 episode.
That was all 1 episode? I thought
That
that
was
happened
all
over
1
2
episode.
episodes.
No, it was 1 episode.
How many episodes
Oh my God,
was David Tennant in
we gotta talk
for
about,
Jessica Jones season 2?
We gotta talk about Gen X's hyperfixation with speaking into their phone. Mom does this too. It's so weird.
You do it too?
I do not. I think it's stupid.
Well, I guess
Okay,
you
well,
only do it
Right
whenever.
here is Cameron's proof. It was 1 episode.
Oh,
It was
okay.
1 episode.
I
yeah.
swore
I
it felt like
swore
it was 2.
I thought he started at the end of episode 10 and then was through episode 11.
No,
but
she kills the dude, and then the very next episode, she's like having a mental breakdown, and in
Right.
her voices speaking.
that's why I thought it was 2 episodes, because she actually kills the guy at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the next episode picks up right there
yeah
with
And
her cleaning the apartment. He's telling her, you can make this look like a suicide.
Well,
or she tells herself
So
that.
she's overlapping. Her voices are going so nutty that they start overlapping, and
Yeah.
they suddenly just start forming into his voice, and then he finally is just like, you can frame it as a
Yeah, and that's why, because of the way that the episode ends and begins, I thought that he first appeared
Yeah.
at the end of that episode where she killed him
Nope.
completely,
to be
completely
fair-
accidentally.
I was about to say it was completely justifiable because it was self-defense.
Except that it wasn't
Whoa.
because it was breaking and entering to begin with.
Yeah.
Because even as a PI, you can't just break and enter, and she did, and so for him it was.
Yeah.
That's just another issue added to this show that I get so annoyed with, is just watching her get away with so much stuff. I don't know. There's some things I understand where, like, okay, I understand why she can get away with that a little bit, but then like there are people who just step in. It's almost like Wanda in WandaVision, where they just she gets excuses thrown her way on why she can get away with it, but then it's like that doesn't really excuse the action she just took. Like, she did just break the law here.
Well, and that's the point they made at the end of WandaVision. The only person who's really getting away with it is Jessica Jones.
No, Wanda got away with it. They were like, they will never know what you went through. And then she flies away. They don't send her to jail for any of the stuff.
So
she
you
did.
didn't watch any of Agatha all along.
I did not watch.
Like,
Agatha.
they hate Wanda. They know what she did.
I did not.
Yeah, so Wanda doesn't actually get away with it. They know what she did.
With WandaVision on thought process, she did get away with it.
But Jessica actually gets away with stuff, just like at the end of the final episode when all the cops are ready to shoot her, and the one guy's like, "You see what she did? You see what she did? Put your guns down!" Like she got off the hook big time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
because it was either the police were going to basically shoot on sight or
Trish.
or Trish.
This show
But Jessica does get. You're right. She gets away with
a lot.
a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that she shouldn't necessarily get away. And sometimes she's not as clean. Like, at least when she killed the prison guard, She went through and cleaned everything, got her fingerprints off. If you really pay attention to the show, there are things that she does that she leaves fingerprints everywhere.
Oh, she climbs on top of buildings. Like
she would get busted all the time.
Trespassed like a lot. Yeah, no. But this show also did something where the last show, Punisher and some of Daredevil, those shows really did a great job of not really making the police or the FBI incompetent for the most part. Here, they're stupid. Okay, for instance, they have a full SWAT team. It's implied that they're going to bring a full SWAT team to the park area where they are on the.
And
whatever.
there was only 3.
And then there was only 3 SWAT guys.
I think that was budgetary.
I believe it was budgetary,
Probably.
but like at the same time, that feels very like this show does make the NYPD feel incompetent. I know she's smart, so she can kind of get away with certain things here or there, but in other circumstances, I feel like the cops just really didn't try to be cops. They just were there.
Well, I don't know if I fully agree with you.
Or maybe it was just the fact that they didn't have the budget, so you can't really see all the police officers. Also, Brett.
But I do think what I will say on that is I do think when she tries to tell them like you can't take my mom and shooting her is not going to stop her. And that cop just insists, like, you sit in the back car. The doors are locked.
My God.
The doors are locked. Okay, like she's not going to kick the door out and go. That is, you're right. They do kind of make it seem like, okay, you need to accept that you're not able to handle this on your own and quit treating powered people like they can't help you because you're the police.
Oh,
and then you get your butt handed to you. You get your butt handed to you in every single fight.
I will say that. So this show also does the raft. A reference to.
He brought that up.
Yes. Well, I was gonna say they did the raft. So this is a reference to Civil War. Civil War is over at this point. That's why they're able to use the raft.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So this show is effectively after Civil War, and she is not getting any issues with Sokovia Accords.
Yeah, no, you're right.
There's no at least I would think like Jerry would be like, you can't be doing, because she's a lawyer. Why wouldn't she be like, hey, you can't be doing certain things. This is against the Accords. Like,
although of all of them, she's probably the least to be bothered by the Sokovia Accords.
She's the most public.
I don't think that's true.
Daredevil is.
No, the most public, as in she has a public identity.
Oh
no,
as a superhero.
I don't think that's true.
What are you talking about?
I think Luke Cage has the most public. He got shot by a rocket.
You're right.
Oh, true.
I think he's garnered the most news coverage and the most attention.
Luke and Jessica equally would probably have the most problems with the Accords. Danny gets off because he has a secret identity for the most part. Some people know. I mean, he does go around being like, I'm the immortal Iron Fist
100 times an episode.
Right. But
I hope they cut down on that in season 2. I really do.
But they, as far as that goes, like he wears a full getup in Iron Fist. Like he has an outfit that he wears to mask his identity, and nobody knows who Daredevil is. They made that very clear.
Yeah, they've done good on keeping him hidden.
Jessica and Luke should be having Accords problems at this point, but they do not really address it at all.
Well, I think for her, people recognize that she's unusually strong, and they call her powered. But I think she's less like Luke is known to be invulnerable and bulletproof.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff and unusually strong.
She and her mom were literally like in the final episode were being hunted. Like they should be having the army and the National Guard on them, not just a couple of SWAT guys in NYPD.
The Sokovia Accords don't address villains. And if she's being hunted no, they don't.
I just saw a thing for villains in the raft because of the Accords cover powered people.
Yeah, they cover heroes.
No, powered people in general. They're supposed to. The idea is that they go in and register anybody with superpowers,
right?
Villains included. It's like gun registry.
Yes. The whole point of the Sokovia Accords was to make sure nobody was going to be a hero.
It's a byline in the Accords that any powered person is supposed to register.
You read them.
Oh my, yes, there is an actual thing for
Not the comic book version, the MCU version.
Yes, they both have been released. Like they're actual documents. Yes, those are things. Yeah, you can go read.
You're
those.
high.
I'm not high. Anyway, not my point.
Speaking of addiction,
in both versions, there is a byline in there that says that all power people have to register their powers to the government.
wait, so then why doesn't?
But
Spider-Man
okay,
fall
okay,
under
you know,
that?
but that
Because
this
they
is
didn't
how
want to do it.
this is how stupid that is. That this is the same as gun control laws, where all people who own guns,
Yes,
but who doesn't? But who doesn't?
I'm just.
Who doesn't?
I'm just saying.
Answer me.
I know what you're saying, but
The criminals don't register
but
their
the
guns.
cops know that she is. I wasn't just talking about her mom. I'm talking about her too.
I know, but she's
The
on
cops
the
know
run.
she has powers.
She's on the run with her mom.
Brett knows she has powers. The captain knows that she has powers. The detective knows that she has powers. Everyone knows she has powers. So many people know, in fact, that there was a plot point in the first season.
Yeah, here's the other thing. There are a whole lot of things globally that happen that people locally don't give a crap about.
Like ice.
I mean,
Are we?
I mean,
Well,
like President Trump can make a mandate, but there are governors out there not, excuse me, not following the mandate, helping hide undocumented illegal immigrants.
These would be undocumented illegal superpowers.
Right, just what I'm saying. Just because
Yeah.
there's a global Sokovia Accord doesn't mean that everybody is going, oh, let's help follow the Sokovia Accords.
Well,
Local
and-
New York City cops probably don't care about a global mandate.
It's crazy to me because the accords are unconstitutional. Like the U.S. would most likely never actually implement it because it takes away privacy of citizens.
I mean, you have to, in the case of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you have to weigh the greater good of knowing who's powered and who's not. And actually, the Sokovia Accords would have been a much better setup for X-Men than the Avengers. But that's basically what it is weigh the greater good of knowing who's powered or not and maintaining privacy.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yeah.
I just mean it's funny to me that this show finally got to do The Raft. This is the one show that's gotten to actually reference something that isn't the incident.
The incident,
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
just a couple of heroes here or there. They actually get to mention it.
Green guy. There's a green guy now.
I love that. Okay, I will say I love that Vito has a Captain America action figure, even though it makes no sense because right now Captain America is an outlaw. Like
Yeah, but
Yeah.
But again, you're talking about a kid and you're talking about a former prisoner.
oh yeah,
And they may not be necessarily aware of the events of Civil War, or if they are, they may not believe it. Like not everybody is going, "Oh, Captain America's on the run. He's a bad guy." Some people are going, "I remember when he saved us in New York City during the incident."
fair.
So-
Yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that. So
It
I
is
think
funny
it was
that
really
that's
more
the
of
one
a
he
way
chooses
for
to
the
not.
government to like take more control instead of just having random super powered people to intervene in things.
she basically is female Captain America. Actually, why would he be so mad at her for having powers, but also let his kid idolize Captain America?
How is she?
It is
moving
interesting. Like
that?
it is interesting how he starts out hating her just because she's powered.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean, he also had a reason to.
Well,
at the
his
beginning.
reasoning.
remember.
His reasoning was like, your kind bring trouble. Like, oh, you bring cops and you bring criminals.
oh, and he is a former criminal. So.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
and he's also
I-
in a custody battle with his ex.
Fair.
former criminal. He's
Well,
still forging
yeah.
documents. That's another problem I, have with the
it's
show.
a side hustle that pays good. So
Don't get on the guy for grinding here.
Oh, okay. I do think the Malcolm scene where she lies to him about, well, she like goes to send him to the landlord, and he's like, just be really nice. It's like basically just like She basically told him to be gay without being gay because
Oh, no.
she was trying to trick him into hitting on the landlord. That was funny. I like that.
Yeah.
I love that he comes back and is like, next time you pimp me out, just be honest with me about it.
I do like how much better Malcolm really is.
He's more well written in this.
He's more
season.
well written, but also after working under Jessica, I really thought after how everything ended with all three of them,
Yeah.
I didn't think Malcolm was going to go like partner with Jen or Hogarth or anything like that. I was kind of hoping he would be his own PI
Well,
and like start his own thing.
I think that was his intention. And then Jerry was like, whoa, you've done one thing on your own.
Yeah.
One.
No,
Yeah.
And I'm going to pay you good enough that you could start on your own, but I'm never going to hire you again because one thing doesn't make you a PI.
Well, yeah, and I think that was a very weird moment because I know he was pissed at Jessica in the moment, but that decision to be like, oh, I want to be your PI. I want you to hire me instead of her. Like that was really petty. Out of all the stuff I love for Malcolm for this season, that was the one that was like, that's okay.
Also, if you think about it, he was around to know that she had hired Price and she hired Jessica. So he had to know, like, she's not going to commit to one person. She's not going to commit to you over those two in the first place. She might use you for something, but she's not going to go exclusive you because you did one thing, because she's had Jessica a long time and went to Price.
Plus, Price came to him early on in the show and was like, I want to hire you.
Yeah.
I'll take you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just leave her. He was like,
But he knew, because he said to Price, oh, so you want me just so you can get information on Jessica. That's all you want me for. And Price was like, well, I mean, yeah.
It wouldn't hurt. Yeah. So I don't know. Overall, I'm not particularly happy with this season. It was fine. I wouldn't go back to it though. I wouldn't go back to season 1 either though after this. Like
I would much rather go back to the Punisher.
Well,
I disagree.
All that said, though, it was an improvement over season 1.
No, it really was. I
Season
did
1
like
dragged
it so
much harder.
much better.
Yeah. Okay. Season 1 did drag harder. I think visually season 1 was more pleasing though. Also, like the way they visualized Kilgrave a lot was fun for me. Like whenever she had to like flashback and she would like see like purple lights and stuff. And I felt like that visual cue was nice. Not having that was kind of weird this season.
Yeah, especially since I made our frames with purple kind of around her.
Yeah. So.
Well,
and like I think
it's just always going to be.
If I remember correctly, I think they had like each season color coordinated. Season 1 was purple, season 2 was blue, and season 3 was red. So
it's going to stay purple.
Oh, that's fine. Purple looks fine with it. But there was something I remember when the show was coming out though. That I think I told you about, but it was kind of just a fun thing that Marvel did where they had artists go in and draw covers for each episode. So there's a comic book cover for each episode that's drawn for the show.
You know,
that's cool.
That actually brings me to something completely unrelated to this episode, but I'm still trying to cover the walls of this room with stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to try to get the movie posters for every Marvel movie, but only not in full poster size. You can get them on eBay in 11 by 17.
Okay.
Are you going to do a Marvel wall?
And do a Marvel wall of all the
movie?
and every time there's a new movie, put the new 11 by 17 up there.
Chronological order or release date order?
Release date order, because they're movie posters.
Well, fair enough.
Gross.
He's a nerd.
I'm not a nerd. I am a nerd.
We are nerds. What do you mean?
Don't lie.
Can't say
Don't
you're
lie.
a nerd.
I'm not a nerd. I'm a
Nerd.
I'm not a nerd. I'm a nerd.
I'm a dread.
Anyway, so what's up next? I think that pretty much covers Jessica Jones season 2. What's up next?
Luke Cage is next. You don't like season 2?
I don't like season 2 because I don't like the direction they took him, and I know they did it. I know that it was written to have a season 3, and it doesn't get the season 3, and I hate the way that season 2 ends.
I see.
It sucks.
That's what I'm kind of confused about with Born Again is how they're gonna bring Luke Cage back because
Right.
well, at least with Danny, right? Like I can kind of see him coming back to New York, but I don't know how they fix Luke.
Right.
I really don't.
So let's get into Luke Cage season 2. So we can have that discussion because I absolutely hate it, and
But-
I don't
but
think it
I
leaves
don't-
room for him to come back in Born Again.
I don't hate the ending though.
I hate it.
I do think the villain drags a little bit. Like there's a point where I think he does drag a little bit. And doesn't Diamondback return?
No. don't think so.
Diamondback.
I can't
No.
remember.
I thought he died.
Yeah.
I think we need to.
He's not coming back.
We'll
It's-
see.
The villain.
I mean,
is
we can always just
Bushmaster.
rewatch the final.
Well, yeah, yes,
episode.
I know Bushmaster,
the
but
Bushwalker.
because I read a thing today that said that Diamondback is in the raft.
Okay, well maybe,
Interesting.
but
So
um,
in the MCU,
we'll see. But I don't see how they bring him back without having like a special show like
I forgot it was
Punisher.
I forgot it was the same actor, by the way, as the dude from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Which I still need to go watch.
What is she?
Who?
The purple dude. The one in
Purple
the suit.
dude.
I can't remember his name.
There
The
was a
one that
purple dude?
Oh yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, the one whose face isn't quite attached to his head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Guardians
They're
3.
the same actor.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't know that until
Oh,
today.
okay.
I was
Interesting.
like, he looks familiar. Oh yeah, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. And then I scrolled down, the guy was like, oh yeah, he's the brother of Luke Cage. I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that. We're not too, but
I am excited for next season. Well, see, that's
I'm
why
not. But I'm excited to get to Daredevil. So let's
I am too.
let's
I
get
was
through
gonna
this.
say, I'm excited for next season because of like episode 11. That's why I'm like, you're not excited for next season. The ending, I get it, but the rest, the whole season,
The whole season leads up to the ending, and I don't like the ending. So
that's
no, I'm
crazy.
not excited
You're
about it.
Crazy,
Nevertheless,
crazy.
yeah, it's gonna be as exciting as when he told you there's a cameo, and you're like, Karen Page. I was
No,
supposed to be excited
no,
about that.
it's exciting. Episode 11 is great. I don't know why he's bashing it because it sets up into the next series.
All right. Well, on that note, if you like what you heard from today on Jessica Jones season 2, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, click the notifications, leave us a comment, all of those things. And I think that's our time.
Oh, wait.
Whoa, he stopped me. What's up?
2 episodes ago,
2
I had
episodes.
mentioned that
Oh, yeah,
for
you
like
said you
one of
called
the
it.
poll questions was GTA 6 going to come out before Avengers Doomsday?
Oh, Doomsday
The week we filmed that episode was the week that Rockstar announced that they delayed GTA 6.
Yep.
And then 2 weeks later,
You're right. You're right.
Doomsday got pushed back even further.
You're right.
I called it.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, I'm not sure that GTA is still going to come out before Doomsday.
We'll
I see another push in their future too.
Doomsday is coming out in December. If GTA gets pushed past December of next year, there's a problem. I don't know.
There's a
'cause it
problem
is set
on
for
Rockstar's
May.
end.
It is.
I mean,
it is set for May. That
Would
is
you
a
not
lot
say
of
there's been a
months.
problem on Rockstar's end for a little while now?
Oh, I wouldn't.
Considering that it's taken them over 10 years to make the next GTA
Well,
game?
okay.
Yes.
I wouldn't
Yes,
say-
exactly.
What? I wouldn't say it's a problem. They wanted to make sure it was on the highest gen possible. That's not. That's a good thing.
Then they would be waiting until December 27 when the new PlayStation and Xbox come out.
Oh, those actually got announced?
No, but
I was
they
about
will.
to say.
Oh.
I
They
doubt
will.
I know-
because the new Nintendo's out. You can
Nintendo,
Yeah, and then
you can watch them
Nintendo is
follow.
always
PlayStation
late.
also announced that they released a like an old arcade joystick pad thingy.
What?
Yeah,
Wait, who?
during the state of play.
PlayStation?
Yeah, PlayStation announced a old school joystick arcade pad thing.
I remember those. Those were not as good as people remember them being.
Oh my goodness.
I love them, but
They
I
were
don't love
wonderful.
them. It's nostalgia bait.
You remember how I used to cut him off in the middle of the opening for this show?
Oh please. Stop.
Keep talking and see what happens.
Oh, gubernatorial.
All right. With that, actually, like, share, subscribe, all the things. Leave us a comment in the comment section, and we are out.